Frank County, and welcome to this edition of City Spotlight. Des Moines Performing Arts is a new name for a lot of entertainment in downtown Des Moines. The Civic Center, the Stoner Theater, the Temple for Performing Arts, and now Coles Commons. Today we're going to be talking to Laura Sweet, who is Vice President and Chief Operating Officer for Des Moines Performing Arts. Stick with us. It's going to be a great day. We'll be right back.
This is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. If I say dot, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again now.
That's it. Jamaica, here you come.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
Welcome back to City Spotlight. I'm here with Laura Sweet, who's the Chief Operating Officer for the Temple for Performing Arts, among other things, and including Des Moines Performing Arts.
That's right, yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about what's going on.
Well, you know, we've had a really exciting couple years since I've moved here to Des Moines. You know, one thing you mentioned is...
Now, where'd you come from?
You know, well, I'm from Nebraska, but most recently I've been up in the Twin Cities at the Ordway in St. Paul. But happily, my home is now here in Des Moines. So I've been here a couple years, and one of the greatest changes, I think, is Des Moines Performing Arts. We changed our name.
Now, tell us the strategy on why you changed your name.
Right. Well, you know, the building, the Civic Center, is many things to many people. And we're proud of the history of the Civic Center, but we also recognize that there's kind of been a disconnect with, there wasn't a strong association connection to what is core to our mission, the performing arts part. So Des Moines Performing Arts is the overarching institutional name, and then we have our 4 venues that we program out of. So we have the Civic Center, where the main stage is, where you've seen a bunch of shows, I know, the Stoner Studio Theater, and then we have here, we're at the Temple Theater, and we also have Coles Commons. So we have the 4 venues that fall underneath the umbrella of Des Moines Performing Arts.
Let's go back a little bit.
Yeah.
You talked about there's a former name, but let's talk a little bit about the history of the whole coming together of all these performance places, but more importantly, how did the whole Civic Center come about in the first place?
Well, it's got a great history, and actually you could probably fill in some of the important details too, but it was built in 1979, and it's the building of a decade. It's architecturally, it's an amazing building, and I feel like we work in a place that is itself a work of art, which I don't take for granted. So Charles Herbert and his associates designed the building, and thanks to the great, we were talking about the community leaders that came together to create the vision that was the Civic Center, and we're really lucky for that vision. And originally, the plaza across the street was Nolan Plaza, which also had its share of leaders that came behind it to rally for it. And we opened our doors in '79, and we've been presenting shows in the building and across the street ever since.
Let's talk a little bit about what was formerly Nolan Plaza, because it used to be when it came about, they had a fountain in there, a little wading pool, and through a whole series of things, it's kind of evolved into a different kind of a place. But I remember every Friday night during the summers there was an event called City Amstead.
Yes.
That it went on for years and years, and it kept getting more and more popular. But as we think about programming for a place like that, in a space like that, what kind of things do you see happening in there? And I know that through other ways we've kind of talked about and promoted what it kind of is going to do, but kind of frame it for our audience, what it is that's going to happen there.
You know, Coles Commons, formerly known as Nolan Plaza, is the great thing about what we've been able to do with the project is to marry the rich history of all the things, like you mentioned, City Amstead, and all the events that historically have taken place there, along with what the plaza has been to us currently, It's been, in addition to being a performance space, it's been the home for the farmers market and wine fest and a launch pad for the marathon, and you know, not equally important, it's been a gathering place for people. It's been a place where people can come in small groups or big groups to talk about issues that are important to them. So marrying the history along with the current use of the plaza, the future for Coles Commons promises to be a place for all those things to still happen, but we're going to really increase the quality of what's there. We're going to have an amazing sculpture by Jim Campbell, a light sculpture. We're going to have a new, fully operational fountain, and it's going to be a not zero depth, but it's going to have a very limited depth for the water so that we can actually drain it and then have the space where the fountain exists actually be where we have performances on top of it. So we could set up a stage the same day, you know, turn off the fountain and later that day have a stage over that space in the plaza. We'll also have new lighting, new trees, and you know, an important thing to us as we've been visioning this project is to be very mindful about our climate. So we're planning, thanks to David Yon in the mayor's office, we've been working closely to make sure that we're choosing plants, shrubs that are native to Iowa and that can withstand the temperature swings that we have, that'll be beautiful and aesthetically pleasing so that if you're coming down to have a sandwich over your lunch hour or if you're coming to enjoy an event at night, you know, the plaza is someplace that welcomes you. And we really look at that name, Coles Commons. It's an area that really honors the fact that the Commons is a space where people can, anyone can come, you know, whether you're the mayor or you're, you know, someone working downtown.
Let's talk about the water piece just for a second.
Sure.
Is it going to be variable? I mean, is it going to be programmable? Can you change the way the water comes up, the heights, the colors, I mean, whatever it is, are you going to have lights on? I mean, how's that going to work?
It's going to be really cool. The plans right now as they stand, and obviously we're just finishing the design development stage, so we're entering into the construction documents, but so more details to come.
Okay.
But it's to be two sort of oval-shaped spaces, and there will be water that sort of plays back and forth. So imagine your grandkid like jumping, running around between the water as it springs back and forth. I think it's similar in a way to the fountain that was in Millennium Park in Chicago. There's also to be lots and lots of different lighting abilities so that we can have lights that are programmed to interplay with the fountain as it operates, and also just to provide sort of a magical backdrop for it. You know, we're really looking at as we don't want to take away from the lights that will be the Jim Campbell sculpture, but we want to enhance that section of Coles Commons. So I think it really should be a beautiful asset to downtown, and it's something that we don't have in that section of downtown.
Oh, absolutely.
We've got the river, but we don't have anything that's really interactive.
Well, and that'll be exciting to watch as that progresses, so we'll let our viewers know when the next stage of your announcement is going to take place. But as I think about it, and you talk about Millennium Park, and quite frankly, I've seen some variable ones even in San Jose, for instance,
sure.
where they can do the same thing. They can shut the whole thing off and have a music performance out there if they want. Or in the middle of the day, they can turn the water on, the kids are jumping around, and then they can choreograph it to music, and then it's just a little bit sometimes, and then sometimes it's popping up all over different places. And so it in different ways, you know, in different strengths. So I think all those things sound exciting, and I know you don't want to reveal exactly what's going on with the other sculpture, but it's going to be very exciting, I think.
Yep.
In sort of a redefined place that has been special to a lot of people in Des Moines for a while.
Absolutely.
Let's talk now a little bit quickly about the temple itself.
Yes.
So what kind of space do we have here? What's the difference in the kind of events that you do here as opposed to either the Stoner Theater or the Civic Center itself? And what are the capacities and why does this work?
Sure. Well, the Temple Theater is really special to a lot of us, and part of what makes it special is the fact that there's 299 seats max. So it's a very intimate experience for you as an audience member to have with that
Does that
artist on
299
stage.
seats behind us here, does
And
that
in front
include
of
the
us,
tables
too.
here
It
too?
includes
Okay.
all of the tables around us. And it does make for, I think that's part of the interesting magic about it. It's a very close connection between what's happening on stage and what's happening in the audience, and you can feel that energy. It's really shared. The kinds of things that can happen in the space range from, we've had Arlo Guthrie, we've had comedians, we've had the Lunch Unplugged series every year, which is a neat opportunity for folks to come down and...
By the way, I heard that he was great, but
Arlo?
he didn't do Alice's Restaurant here.
Can you believe it?
He's got,
I'm not
you got
sure.
him back.
We have to get him back, for
Okay.
sure. Peter Yarrow was here also.
Well, but the Alice's Restaurant, don't they do it on Thanksgiving? I mean, isn't
I
that
think
the
so.
thing?
I think you're right. Yeah, that's
Okay,
right.
let's
That's
get him
right.
back. That's
yeah,
good.
I think so. But we've also had events here, like Joe Biden had a reception here, and so it's the kind of space that works for TEDx for Des Moines to Peter Yarrow. It's a great, acoustically it's fabulous. It's obviously one of the things that really, I think, struck the visionaries of Harry, Bookie, and Jeff Chelsvig when they were thinking about what this space could mean is really just the fact that it's the location. We've got great restaurants in this building and nearby. We've got great parking in downtown Des Moines, and it's such a jewel of a space. And the fact that so many people came together and renovated it into sort of the glory that it is today, I think it's one of the many things that makes this downtown vibrant and exciting. So.
Well, I think for the city, it was an exciting opportunity to save a special building.
Mm-hmm.
And the city is heavily invested in
Mm-hmm.
this
whole
proposition
area.
as well.
Yeah.
And so
Sure.
it has really been great to watch it, be such a success and a place where so many different kinds of things can happen. In terms of the size of the stage, do you, we've seen plays in here, we've talked about some of these other performers in the recent past. Where do you see it going in the future? What kind of other things do you think ought to be played here? I mean,
Sure. Well, we've had over 1,300 performances in the space, which is fabulous. And I think 236,000 people have had the opportunity to be an audience member here for an event. Triple Espresso, which I bet you've seen, is the longest running show in Iowa history. We had it sit
Fabulous.
down here for the fourth time actually in last season. It's
and these guys are still, some of them still wandering around Des Moines.
Did you know, that's sort of one of the sweetest stories that has come from the temple, is that first, when we opened our doors in October of 2002, the original cast of Triple Espresso, two of them not only fell in love with the show in the Temple Theater, they also fell in love with Des Moines, and in fact, two lovely women from Des Moines, and have come to make Des Moines their home. So they still called Des Moines they're still working actors, and they're based here in Iowa, which is really a great story to tell.
No,
So,
absolutely.
But I think the kind of show like Triple Espresso that really captures a community that can run for a long time period is something that we love to program here in the space. We love the Temple Comedy series, the Prairie Meadows series. We love having musicians come and share this space. I think it is just a lovely space for music, comedy, theater, so many different things.
I think that so many of these pieces with all these different venues and quite frankly other places for live music in and around Des Moines has really created a different place than 20 years ago, 25 years ago when people had a different view of Iowa. Now when we see all these people, you talked about now Vice President Biden doing an event in here and a number of other people as well, and it's a special place to do those kinds of things, but also it speaks about the activity in downtown Des Moines in sort of an urban setting.
That's right.
That people don't ever imagine is happening in Des Moines and or in Iowa for that matter.
That's right.
And so I think that congratulations to everybody for the work that you've done that has made people see Iowa and see Des Moines and see our creative people in the cultural setting, really performing, really putting out some great stuff. And it's being appreciated by people from all over the country. And as a result, you know, I have people that call me as the mayor of the city of Des Moines and say, how are you making this happen? And I just think it's some really great, as you've mentioned, great creative juices of a lot of different people who are thinking of stuff. They might not necessarily be performers, but we can provide them a venue to do show their talent.
That's right.
And so we need to keep working on it, and thank you so much for
It's
giving
our
us
pleasure.
sort of a quick peek into what's going on.
Our pleasure. You're always welcome.
Well, thank you. We'll be right back.
So this is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
Eye cursor in between the R and the E. Pressing down, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again now.
That's it. Jamaica, here you come.
Here we go.
Good job.
Alright. Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
All right, welcome back. We're at the Civic Center in the auditorium here, 221 Walnut Street.
That's right.
All right. Talk to us about the capacity in here. What a great venue this has been through the years.
It is a fabulous venue, and we have a little over 2,700 seats, and it's a state-of-the-art facility, and it's continental seating. So that's a really unique thing. I think that was
What do
one
you
of
mean
the things.
continental? What does that mean?
So there's no aisles to break up your site. So when you're seeing a performance here, there's a much closer connection between the artists on the stage and the audience in the hall. There's no disconnect with aisles, so the best seats are actually seats instead of being walkways. And we do that because we have 8 doors on either side. So we have 16. It makes for a very safe venue also, but we have 16 doors to accommodate guests coming in and out of the theater. And it also does allow the aisles are deeper, so there's more, you can stretch your legs out a little bit, and a tall drink of water like you can still have a comfortable seat while you're enjoying a performance.
Absolutely. So talk to us a little bit about it. It looks like this stage out here is lifted. That's covers the pit, doesn't it?
That's right. What you're looking at there is the orchestra pit, and in addition to the Willis Broadway series and the dance series and the applause series, we also are the home to the Des Moines Symphony. So the pit is used actually many times during the year.
So how many performances generally will you do a year in this venue? We talked a little bit about what goes on at the Temple Theater and what goes on at the Stoner Theater. So talk a little bit about the number of performances, the number of people that will actually come in and out of the doors, those 16 doors into this
That's right.
space.
Well, during the last year, we had, between the 4 venues, really 3 that are operational today, we had 366 events. So, you know, obviously there's some days when we're dark, and there's other days when we have events going on both here and down the street at the Temple. So 366 performances during the last year. And that's
So
about...
that's total with all your venues?
That's right, with the 3
Okay.
venues. So the Stoner Theater, which we'll go into in a little while, and here at the Civic Center and also at the Temple Theater.
Laura, let's talk a little bit about the stage. We've got a whole bunch of ropes here and seemingly a huge stage here. Let's talk a little bit about the size of it and maybe what all these ropes are for.
Sure. Well, that is a great thing about this facility is we do have a very large stage that can accommodate up to 25 Broadway trucks. The ropes that you see all correspond up above with one of the, you can see those poles, and they're primarily to hang set pieces that travel with the Broadway shows and also for lights. So that's the Broadway shows come a lot of times with their own lighting components and set design pieces, and those all fly from above up there.
How big is it?
The stage is 76 feet by 50 feet, and then we also, up to the fly is 70 feet. So it's quite a large space. And, you know, to get 25 trucks worth of scenery, it's a good thing we have that space.
You got to be able to do it, yeah.
That's right.
How many, when you're doing a full Broadway show,
Sure.
how many people will be running these ropes and moving stuff around and whatever? I mean, how many, you know, backstage
That's a
people
great
do you have to
question.
have?
And actually, the Broadway shows travel with company members that all work backstage, and we also have stagehands here from our local union that work here. So for any show, we might have 100 people that are just backstage working to do things that the audience never sees, but they might not see the individuals, but they see the results of their hard work. So,
Wow.
yeah. Yep.
Well, let's take a look around. I think
Let's do
that
it.
you talked about some more stuff that we ought to see, and we ought to see the pit.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right. This is exciting.
I've never.
Now we're going down into the pit, right?
We're going to become the pit.
So how far down do we go?
That far.
With the pit? 10 feet?
Yeah, like a story.
Somebody tell us.
10 feet.
Now, did you ever do this during a show?
Never. No. Safety is a big, important priority for us. So we would. Although there are lots of magical things that happen during a show. For example, we'll show you the Mary Poppins fly hole up above.
Well, right, and here, look, here's some more
Getting
seats.
That's right. The seats that would be right here.
Yeah, and so does this up at over 2,700 then?
Yes.
If we get,
Well, no, that.
okay.
To get the 2,700, we need to count these seats
Okay.
too.
So how large of an orchestra can we put down here?
We can put up to 55 musicians down here.
Wow. Now, what do we keep behind all these doors?
Mechanicals.
Okay,
There we go.
there it is.
Well, pretty close.
But we're not quite there yet.
That's the
We're
pretty
moving.
close part. Now we've done it.
We're there.
We're in the pit. We've become the
We're in
orchestra pit.
That's it.
So this is where up to 55 musicians can perform, and it is acoustically balanced, so the sound is great.
So how do the musicians, they access it from the sides?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
We could have also, we did take that dramatic route to get down to the pit, but we could have actually taken a flight of stairs also.
So the 55, that includes out
Correct.
into here, right?
Correct.
So we could have them
Although usually right here is where the conductor would be,
right there.
right, or about right here.
It looks like he has a trap door as well.
You know, there are all kinds of different
So
things.
if he's not doing a good job, boom,
That's right,
down.
just boom,
Out of
drop him right out of here, which would never happen to Joe.
here. Okay. Well, we wouldn't put him in the pit anyway.
That's
We'd
right.
put him on stage.
That's right, that's right.
All right. Now down here, you probably do have pit doors down here too, don't you? I mean, that access the stage if you needed to put somebody up through the floor or something?
Yes, there are trapdoors and things underneath the stage over there. And we also, this is a great area on either side in the wings for us to store. We store some instruments for the symphony, and as you can see, we have some of the chairs. Since the pit isn't in use right now, we do have some of the chairs from the first few rows down here, and looks like we actually have a podium and some tables down here, so a little bit of everything.
Yeah, this is good.
We do use every square inch that we can. Storage is a commodity.
Now, you do a lot of different series.
That's correct, that's correct.
So let's talk about that a little bit. The Willis series, the Broadway series,
Right.
and some of the others. And what's the difference in the attendance of those different
Well,
kinds
right,
of?
the Willis Broadway series, last year we had 12,000 subscribers alone. So that is a really popular series for people, and it brings in people from across the region to see the Broadway traveling shows. And that was a record-setting year. And just from the Willis Broadway series alone, we had $24 million worth of economic impact to the city. So that's measured through Broadway League, through one of our industry resources, calculates the impact, and the almost $25 million of impact from the Broadway series comes from people not only attend the show here at the Civic Center, but they're also eating in our restaurants and spending the night in our hotels. So it increases the vibrancy of our town.
So it's not only the viewers, but also the actors, performers, everybody else stays and for a period of time as well. So
It's true, it's true. Yep.
let's go take a look. You've got a smaller venue at the Stoner
Sure, the Stoner Studio Theater, sure.
Studio Theater, and we can talk a little bit about what you use that for.
Sounds great.
Okay.
morning, here we are in the Stoner Studio Theater. This is a lovely space, and as you know, we use this a lot for community partnerships. This is the home of Stage West. They do their productions here. We just got new risers, so we're really proud of our risers.
How many will this seat?
This is about 250.
Okay. So we do plays, we do what all?
Comedians, you know,
Okay.
this is it's not technically considered a black box space because it can't be configured in limitless ways, but it can be configured in different ways. So you can have, these two risers we can get rid of so that it's just the audience here.
This is over here.
That's
Okay.
right. We can also have the performers in the center, and we can have audience on all sides. So there are different ways that we can configure the space, but this is probably the most typical way that it gets used is for, we'd be standing on the stage and then the audience would be on three sides around us.
Okay, so we've got this access going back here to the main
We do,
theater.
though this does not
But
get used a lot. We do have dressing rooms. We're actually underneath where the main stage seats are right now.
Okay, right. So going back over here, these are dressing rooms?
Correct.
Over here?
Yep.
So occasionally, if you've got a big show, they might be dressing over here, running down here and get on stage.
It could happen, but it usually doesn't. And
Okay.
we were talking about how we have 366 events during a normal year, or during last year we had 366. And that really, we can have events happening in the Stoner while there's an event happening.
Does that
main
happen
stage.
often?
It happens
That you-
pretty often. It
Okay.
happens pretty often. Especially since the Stage West runs are longer, multi-weeks. So because of that, it does happen that we'll have a Broadway run happening with a Stage West run, and we can live together quite successfully with multiple performances happening in the same space.
How do you mix the two if you've got a fairly good-sized show going in the big area, and then you've got this one going as well? I mean, how do you handle the ticketing?
Well, you know, you made a good point. We do have backstage that could be shared, but it doesn't really have to be shared because we have great accommodations both in our lower level and on the first level for artists behind the scenes. And the ticket office actually functions for both the Stoner Studio Theater and for the main stage. So it's the same ticket office. You can also, there's a Stoner Studio entrance that you can enter if you'd like, but either set of doors work if you're coming as a guest. And the concessions are shared also. So really, and the restrooms are all, the building was really well designed for that because you can do many things with those spaces, the public areas of the building.
Well, local architect.
That's right,
Here
can't
we
beat
are.
it. And it's a great space to tell you a little bit about our dance series. The dance series has been around a handful of years. We have about 1,000 subscribers, and this year we'll have 3 events coming in, the first of which happens in January. We'll have Alonzo King. We'll also have Trey McIntyre, a company that I really love, but I gotta tell you, the event that everybody's gonna see is Alvin Ailey.
Wow.
Yeah.
When is that? When's
You
it?
know, Alvin Ailey is here in March of 2014, so that's going to be a great opportunity. And I think that the dance series in particular is one that resonates with this region because high quality, internationally known companies like Alvin Ailey before, you know, there wasn't a place for a performance like that to happen. So here at the Civic Center we have, you know, we were talking about the stage and all of the amazing light opportunities that we have. It really makes for a great place to see dance.
You know, as we sit, we could have chosen any seat here, but there really isn't a bad seat in the house.
There isn't. Notice how wide the aisles are too. And because of that continental seating, there's a great view.
And with the wide aisles, everybody doesn't have to totally stand up when somebody's
That's right.
going by them to get to their seat.
That's right.
So the other thing that I've noticed through the years in sitting here is that while there isn't a bad seat, every experience is a little bit different. So if you sit close, you've got a much different perspective than if you sit high. And sometimes almost sitting back further is a better experience.
That's true for a classical music performance, for example. It's really almost best to sit towards the back of our house because you can really feel the fullness and richness of each of the instruments. So that instrumentation is, I think, especially wonderful when you're slightly farther back. And you know, sitting here thinking about you and I in this giant auditorium by ourselves, the opposite of that is one of my favorite times in the hall, which is when we have 2,000 kids here for a school performance. So imagine the energy of 3rd and 4th graders. We had 50,000 kids that came last year to participate in one of our school performances.
Oh, that's fun.
Yep.
That's fun. Now you also have other special effects and lighting and other stuff. Let's go up and take a look at the
Let's
lights,
do it.
and
Yeah.
maybe there's some secret places. Maybe we'll find Mary Poppins or somebody up there.
We might find Mary Poppins up there, or at least her aura.
Okay, let's
Great.
see what we can do.
Watch your head here.
Watch your head here. So this is sort of an interesting perspective.
Isn't it?
So we put her out through here? Did
That's
you
right.
put
She
her
flew
through
from here, from this hole right here.
Out of there, from the stage out through that hole.
Oh, okay.
It's a little bit different perspective, isn't it?
Absolutely. Well, and you see kind of how they created some of this stuff.
It is really a
Interesting.
backstage, behind the scenes look at the inner workings of the Civic Center.
It's got lots of different lights, so you can attach them and move them around in
That's
these
right.
bars. And
Yep, that's correct. So Brian, tell us about what we're seeing.
Well, this is kind of like this is the lobby. You can see the red wall around here.
yeah,
So we're between the lobby and the auditorium right now.
in the lobby and another place.
Yeah. This is not a place that we normally take visitors. You are a VIP.
This is to the spot booth.
You're right. See, there's the back, very back. For some of the productions to come in, we've had to modify some of the specs of the building. Brian, tell us about the Phantom.
When Phantom came the first time, we had to add this extra steel here, and so they knew if they came back, it would be all set
We're ready
to go
for
in.
them. Yep.
And this long one over here was from Radio City Christmas Spectacular. It had that huge wreath that hung right off here. So, had a structural engineer come in and verify that it was safe enough to hold their
additional
4-ton wreath.
wreath, right. That's a fun story too, because we had for Radio City when they were here in Des Moines in the winter, how many animals did we have out on the lawn before World Food Prize had been built? That basically became our little barn area for the animals that were traveling with the show.
Camels, donkeys,
Lions and tigers and bears.
And it was fun to watch them cross the street.
So here we are in the Stars dressing room.
You know, and it's kind of ironic that we're in the Star dressing room because the star in all that is Des Moines Performing Arts is the audience, and it's certainly the contributions that make it possible. You know, we have to fundraise $2.5 million as a nonprofit each year in order to bring the kind of artists that we have come to Des Moines. So it's kind of the star in this whole equation is really you and the folks of Des Moines in our region.
No, absolutely. This has been a fun tour. Are there any pieces that we have missed here?
You know,
we've talked about the kids, we've talked about all the different series that we're doing, we've talked about ups, down.
We've had
lights.
you in every nook and cranny almost, Mare County. It's been a pleasure to have you here, and we'll have to have you come back. I'd love to tell you more down the road about the Iowa High School Musical Theater Awards. We do so much in our community, and I think it's really great that you're choosing to focus on the arts and culture piece of what Des Moines has to offer. We're really proud of the ways that we contribute, and we'd love to talk to you more about it down the road.
Absolutely, and thanks for having us, and we're going to wait for that update on Coles Common.
Thank you, Mare County.
So, thank you all for watching. This is City Spotlight, and until next time, I'm Mayor Frank County.